I think they're at the end. I think they're at the end. And I think it's going to come down to whether Steve Kerr wants to try to convince Joe Lacob that he's the right man for the job for the next couple years. But I'm not sure Steve thinks he's the right man for the job for the next 2 years. If Joe's the owner and is really going to be kind of, I don't want to say over his shoulder, but, you know, I got to believe that the first 8 years of Steve Kerr, it was pretty much hands off. And, you know, Steve, this is your show. Do what you need to do.
You're a dynasty.
But now I think it's, Steve, we're removed from that period of time, and now we're looking to go in a little bit different a direction. I mean, like, listen, could it be as simple as this? Joe Lacob is over Steve Kerr being beholden to Curry and Draymond Green.
It could totally be that. But if it were that, I believe Steve wouldn't have the ball in his court how I think he does, mulling it over. He would already know, hey, this has come to an end. We're making a change.
I do think if he wanted to coach the Warriors like that, he would do it. But I think we're a little bit past that at this point.
Yeah, you used the word, and I love it. And trick error in the chat, you know, calls it interesting, or Caddy Sack calls it interesting, and the trick error says it's business as usual.
What's Joe Lacob thinking? This is Anthony Slater.
They just paid, $67 million in luxury tax, I think it was. I mean, they're obviously one of the highest salary rosters in the league, and they won 37 games. They were 10th in the West. They didn't make the playoffs. I saw him walking out of the arena, try to chat it up with him a little bit after the Suns lost, and he was scooting out, you know, in a pretty frustrated way, which is understandable. I mean, he wants to win. He's paying to win, but also, typically when you get him in, you know, his more thoughtful moments, he's realistic about the hows and the whys of where, you know, the season got to. And he understands the injury troubles that this team went through. I think he understands the age and some of the dynamics at play. So they are certainly over the next week, 2 weeks, going to figure out what the proper direction to get this thing a little bit more back on track and to where they're a more consistent, obvious playoff team. But, you know, I don't think he's rattling the table saying everything needs to be torn down.
All right, that was Anthony Slater on Joe Lacob and how Joe Lacob's feeling right now. Let me ask you this. I'll give you can be Joe Lacob.
All right. Ooh, I got money.
All right. There's three big boys here. Kerr, Curry, Green. Kerr's got a decision to make. You got to make a decision on Curry, and Green's got a decision to make. If you could control those three, or at least be in Joe Lacob's position, what would you do with each of those situations, and how would the conversation go with each of those three guys from Joe Lacob's point of view?
I would give Steph Curry a blank check and just slide it over to him, have him put the number that would suffice for the next couple years, multiple years. Draymond Green, I would let him know it's a wrap. The next season after that, it's a wrap. And then Steve Kerr, I think he's earned going out with Steph Curry, and I would have no problem with him coaching the team for the next 2 to 3 years. That's how I would do each. That's how I would do it.
All right.
How would you do it? No blank check for Steph?
No.
Wow, man.
I can't. Can
I ask you why?
You know why. I'm not paying a 39-year-old $60 million in 2027, which doesn't start for a year and a half after he's played 43 games and developed a case of runner's knee, which everybody seems to acknowledge will not necessarily vanish. So listen, it's easy for me to say I wouldn't.
Go ahead.
But I wouldn't.
So how would you
do it?
What would you do? Just, hey, Steph, I need to talk to you because you don't want to deal with the public outcry if you were to be okay with Steph leaving, which I know Joe Lacob is not. So how would you, not finesse, how would you approach that bear?
I would say, Steph, you played 43 games. You're talking about a new normal. All right. We don't know. We have no idea what next year is going to look like as you enter your 39th year on planet Earth. Forgive us, but we would like to talk about this after you complete next year, which we all have acknowledged is your new normal. Can you work with us there? You see our payroll situation. You see what we're trying to do in 2027, at the end of 2027. Can you work with us and sit tight for another year and take your 62 and we'll look at the year you had and then we'll treat you right the following year if everything goes well. That's what I would do. And if that's not enough for him, then I'm not saying get his ass out of here. I'm saying, well, now you're in a pickle.
A big one. Yeah. Wow.
Okay, and here's Zabate.
Yeah.
Steiny. Steph would laugh at that disrespect right in front of your face.
That was the word I was about to throw back to you.
Okay, great. So how does this go? Steph Curry sits down with the Warriors at the end of the season and says, I'd love a extension. Okay? Do you want 1 or 2 years? 2. Okay, you want 2. So you're going to play 3 more years,
right.
Steph.
Yeah.
Okay? Next year you're making 62. Why don't you give us a starting figure for those 2 years? Where do you want to start there, Steph? 2027, 2028, 2028, 2029. How much money should we give you for those 2 years? 1 year you'll be 40 and the next you'll be 41. Give us a starting point, just so
you're gonna laugh,
just so
and he
we
might
know.
not do it 2 for 90. Like if he really was about it to where I got all the money in the world. Give me 2 for 90, Joe, and I know that's a savings, but don't you dare tell me I need to go play perform basis. Like you need to see what I got to justify what you want to pay me. Like
we do.
I guess what I'm telling you,
Steph,
Stoney, and I mean this.
down the last 2 years.
No doubt, but I've already earned this bread.
Well,
and that's why your life has changed.
And that's where I think that people don't
if
get
he ain't doing
business.
2 for 90.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Because he could get 2 for 122 if he wanted to.
From whom?
From the Warriors. Like I believe there's no number Joe would say.
Do you believe that giving him?
No, I'm not saying it's the right. I know.
Okay, that's. I don't think Joe Lacob thinks that's the right thing either. And again, like this is one of those things where I get it. Steph is Steph. He's a made man.
Right.
But never in the history of the game would so much be would a guy be occupying so much of your payroll at such a late age with a tangible uncertainty that he can make it happen. I mean, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Steph goes, just give me 2 for 120, 2 years for 120. I'll play through 2029. Let's get out of here.
Now, would that floor you if that happened? No, seriously, like, would you be floored?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I would be floored.
G-Mo from the 650 in the chat says, Goo, you need to start looking at it like the money's coming from your bank account.
Right.
And I'm being so real, and I know you hate this word, but I'm going to bring it up. When we talk about a face of a franchise and presidential and privately funded buildings that Joe Lacob was able to do with Chase because of what Steph did for this organization, I'm not saying it's a retirement gift, but Steiny, we would be.
Well, it's not just a retirement gift. It's you're digging a hole for the future. Like. Okay.
Or deal with the tough love and PR nightmare that would come with kind of playing tough love with Steph. Is that what route you're suggesting? Like, you know what I mean?
No,
How much is that worth?
This is what I mean.
If you put a dollar figure on that.
And this is what they talk about when they say there's no good ending to a dynasty. You're going to do one of two things here. You're going to either overpay the hell out of Steph for 2 more years, and
you might already be doing that.
What are you talking about?
Because you said he ain't worth 62.
He's not.
So
you want to tack on more years? So he's getting worse, but you're going to tack on more years?
I want to do the right thing. But if you talk about overpay, we can already start that already. If we want to get technical.
Are you saying the right thing is to break Steph off 2 more years at 45 to 50 mil?
I think so. I think so, partner.
I can't do that.
And I understand my return, my ROI, I'm probably going to be negative because you're negative now if you want to keep it real.
Here's the thing, and I think maybe the point is moot. And I know people disagree with me. I don't think there's any way Steph asked for 60 plus. Right. I just don't.
I could see it happening, but when I hear him talk about, he wanted the extension.
The other thing is, if Steph says, I'll tell you, you know what? And here's the other thing. And listen, if Steph goes, hey, Joe, give me 2 more years at 120. Like, that would tell me a little more about Steph.
And
I'm sorry.
Would that be?
It would be like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Steph? I'm sorry. Like, if it's good enough for Tom Brady, why wouldn't it be good enough for Steph?
No in the chat says they agree with you.
And paying a guy 40 over when he's 39, is that an insult?